so the Rebbe does that which are coming to explain why they need to be a pikach. Why does in the mashal first of all you have to understand why the Africa you have to be a pikach miyuchad. Why can't it be a regular person to choose the melech? The fact that the gadlus hamelech, the fact that he's the king, that means that he's greater than everybody else. Must have an uncle, even a little kid knows that the king is a higher rank, higher position than the sergeant. So why the regular people, regular average people choose duchsin, bifrichim, stratilutin, and Africa pikach, yetzim neklal type of person, he chose the melech, the mashal. There was Mair the Masber, the flow of the melech, and the male is nicht verstanden why he was that not because he said. And also, what's the reason? What's the reason of the pikach? It means that without a reason, so the Gemara svara that even though the melech is greater than everybody else, we shouldn't choose the melech. We need a special reason. So what's the everybody else can be fired, and the melech is in the mischal. That's not Ashtei. So first, the Rebbe starts explaining the guy with the nimshal before we get to the mashal. That the Rebbe asked me at the beginning of the Maamar, the lashon of Ashtei medrash is that Yidden chose the Eibishter. Shebachru b'Hashem. The question is, choosing is only shaykh just a selection. If there's only one, if you have two things, if there's no common denominator between the two things, and it's not a selection. It depends what you want. The person, if you don't know what you want, so that's also not considered b'chira. You have to decide what you want. But once a person, we're dealing with someone that's looking for an Eibishter. Looking for an Eibishter, the only true Eibishter is one. Everything else is sinyonim shegin. So what's that from Becher saying? What's the selection here? So the Rebbe Maamar is saying that it's important. Where did we get to? We ready to do the Shtash L'Charkach? We got to that? Let's say the first love. The first love was a toss. The Seder Dach is the if and the way that Ashpa comes on Maamar to Nivraim goes through Mimutzayim. This is Mitzvahs. The Eibusha gives light or gives through the sun, the light through certain tzmicha. The tzmicha of certain payers come through the light of the sun. So this light comes through the sun, through the fact that the sun shines light. So the brings light itself comes to the world through the sun. Now there's different tzmichas appears, chayis that we get is through light. Megget, tvoy shamish, and megget gersham. So there's megget, there's geshmak appears that come from the shemesh, and there's geshmak appears that come inside the yorech. So the mashpia in the world. So if someone that thinks that the fact that the shemesh shines and has the quality of light is the shemesh's thing, she has the quality of light. The shemesh contains, she's the mashpia. So then that's there was a red feeling like that. That's the way the Rebbe's Maamar this family. That's together with the Zara. If someone thinks the fact that the shemesh has air, it's me'atzma. They were speaking about something else. The Torah's tradition was that they believed that, of course, the fact that the shemesh has any qualities comes from the Eibishter. But the pile, the fact that these qualities are transferred to the Nivraim, that the shemesh is the one that's giving over. It means what she has, that comes from the Eibishter. So someone that thinks the fact that the Eretz has the ability to Natzmiat Tzmachim, that's a special Keich HaTzimech, which is a Maamar Eliki Tachi Eretz. It's not a Nifra Zazach. That's a Keich HaLiki. This Keich HaLiki is invested and works through the Eretz. Obviously, got the sort of the pile, the Shemesh, let's say, is about Bchira. The Rambam says, yes, Seichel V'das. I'm saying, God, but the Shemesh wants, it could be Menei Adashpa. The light that the Eibusha gives it shouldn't be extended further. To be Matzmiach Peiris and all the other qualities the Shemesh has, that's a Keich HaLiki, which the Shemesh in Sadatzin does not contain this Keich. But he's the one that's he's the transferees of the he's the one that's transporting it. He's giving over the Keich. So the wine is not the waiter's wine. The wine belongs to the Balabas. But the waiter is the one that's transferring it to me. So the transmitter. So if he wants, there's about that. If about Chile, Vilken or Sachaltan, and Nishker. So that's called Shituf. And that was the toss of the Deresh Hashem. They didn't think that the Tzva Shamayim has Keich Mitzadatzi. They believed that the Keich that the Shemesh has to be Mashpia comes from the Eibusha. But they thought that the Shemesh is the one, the pearl that's transmitting this Keich. The Eibusha gives it the ability to light, and then it transfers it to the world. And if the Shemesh wants, it's not going to work for us to be Mashpia, to be Maamar to the world. So it's hot Bchira. So what do you have to worship him? The Rebbe says two things. First of all, Mitzat HaKaras HaTev. They felt that Mitzat Tzedek V'Yesher, we have to thank the Shemesh for being Mashpia to us, for willingly giving over the Ashpa. And Nachas HaKaras the Rebbe's Meisif is that they had a pnei. It wasn't Mitzat, they didn't have HaKaras HaTev Gufa. It was the fact that they started thinking in this direction because they had a pnei. And they thought that if we're going to appease the sun more, he's going to be more interested to give more. And maybe he's going to attack and give more. That's what the Rebbe's Maamar business. Let's even say it to us. We're holding there, yeah? The Dugmas Melech Shemin Asar, that's one. Mizen Ishtash Lachar, we're holding there. Mizen Ishtash Lachar, Shalot Los, very good. Shechoshu, Shechazar Avayis Ar, is a big Chov Mazal. So in Gehalten, Magas Ar is clear like that. You know, the Eibusha Bechlal has no, the decisions. That doesn't touch up that they believe that the Keach HaEr comes from the Shemesh. I'm not going to use that language. But in Gehalten, it's not like Chamra Lorna Tibus Lashak, where the Balabas is the one that's deciding to give wine to the people sitting there, and who gives the one that gives it? The one that gives it is the waiter. Zim Galton that the Shemesh is the one that's running the situation. She decides whether there should be like that, there should not be that. She has full control over the way the world functions. It's not the Eibush is not involved in the whole Seder Dach. He created them He created them and gave them the authority that they should be the ones running how the world functions. According to the Torah before, they're not running anything. But L'Poil, if they want, they could stop it from going forward. According to the second, then they came to the Torah earlier, so that the aim is just too high to be involved in this katnus, what should be the weather of the year, or whether this person should get sun or shouldn't get sun. So he gave that up to the sun and the moon that they should decide. Was nicht, they're the ones in control of the whole story. And the Haggis Habri is probably behind. So that's where the Hechel is Sartos. Dugmas Melech Shemina Saram Hanig Samdina. The Agam Shezeshim Kech Hanig Samdina. That's important to remember. The Rebbe attaches this also to this. In Parshas Advarim, if someone believes that there's a Metzias that he on his own has authority, that's a Nizar Mamash. So that's someone that believes that there's a Kadman outside of the Eibush, or there's someone that has power independent of Lukus. A Melech, which there's the Melech is a Melech of the town, but this person is the Sarda Eitzar Me'atzmi. He is the Sarda Eitzar Me'atzmi. The Eibush is the greatest being. Then there's a lower. The Eibush has the Hechste Metzias. There's another Metzias. The Shemesh is another Metzias which independently exists, and the definition has the authority to be able to give Shemesh to the world. That's in the Zod Mamash. They believe that the Eibush created everything, but the Eibush created them in a way that they're the ones controlling the world. He created the front that they should be the ones in charge of how the world functions. Not just a being that should be programmed according to the way the Eibush is Mashpia. He created Metzias, which has authority. The was like a Melech, that he's not the one that takes care of everything himself. He divides his authority to others. He delegates Bimizak. He gives his authority to others. The Dugmas Melech Shmir Saram Hanig Samdina. So Agam Shezeshim Kech Hanig Samdina about the Melech of the Hanig. And if the Melech wants, then he could cancel the meaning that he gave. But look, what did he give them the ability to be in charge? To run the Achish Lismanu. And Haggis Samdina had their son. ואין המלך מסערב בזה, מלבד לפרוקים לחייקים של צבע גדול. So this is, if you want to attach, there is a later in the artist, if you want to attach it up a little bit, when you get Chukei HaTeva, you have also the same type of mitzvah. You have the same type of To'usim. But when you speak about Chukei HaTeva, if someone believes that the fact that the water is Merabah the Tzimon, or the fact that this and this, if you do kach v'kach, a person is going to have a good asik, let's say it's going to bring him a parnasa. If someone believes that the Eibush is one giving a parnasa through this asik, and therefore if the levush is going to be not a good levush, it's going to block that shpah from going further, that's not derech the first place. But if someone believes that the Eibush is not involved in giving a parnasa, he created a system, and the system is the one that decides whether you can have parnasa or not. He's not the one giving you that shpah. He created the Eibush Mashafin that the Chukei HaTeva, they should be the ones that should be the resource of how you're getting a parnasa. That's the second toast that I said. The Eibush created the sun and the moon. He created Chukei HaTeva. He created a system, which this system is what's in charge to decide before the kriks and what the kriks say, what the kriks nicht. So that's the second toast that I said.
The second toast believes in this, yeah. This
was Seder Dach. The Melech is not involved in the Medina. So Seder Dach gets involved. It's below his dignity to get involved. The Melech is Melech and hiring. It's a special need. At Seder Dach, there's something that's on his caliber, so to speak, then he gets involved. This is this two in there's different nuances there. The Ram sagt, da steht was ist der Rebbe zu der Sache. Shloime, the Zeh Shu Muslim Kid, this is Baruch Shem Kodel Kai. So Chom is a Shnesim. So you have to see Arat 1 just understand the Nekuda here. B'chlal, there's two Yisurim. That's already based in Nigla, but that's one something brings it down to Sefer. That a guy is Muslim Avodah Zarah also. A guy is not allowed to believe in Avodah Zarah, is not allowed to serve Avodah Zarah. But Shituf, the mitzvah of Ayyachad, it does not write it. A guy, Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. A guy does not have the mitzvah of Yichud. What's the difference in Yichud and Avodah Zarah? Avodah Zarah means that the Eibush is the only God. So what's the Hashem Echad? Also the Eibush. What's the Nafkim Tzishna? What is a guy? What is Nichlan Hashem Echad, which is not included in Avodah Zarah? So in Chassidus Shtei, this is from Shiurim, but the Nekudas Advarim is, if there is Maamar in this matter, is that Avodah Zarah is someone that believes that the world is being ran by Kechav and Mazalis. Even if you believe that it was created by the Eibush. This is from Shittas, that's what I'm saying. But the way there is Maamar in this matter, based on the Kaplan games of Chassidus, if someone believes that the Eibush created Nivroi, and he gave them authority, that's Avodah Zarah. Hagam, you're not saying that they're a Kaplan. You're not saying that they independently exist. You're saying the Eibush created them. But he created them, and their function is to lead, to be in control. The Palamam is there in control. So you're relating to them a certain trait of a lukus. You say that they're in control. That's a Avodah Zarah. You're saying that there's another Metzias which has a trait of divinity, of get effect. Even though he's not a Metzias, he's not a Metzias, but the Mashach. But L'Payal, the Eibush created him and delegated, so to speak, certain degrees of control to this Nivra. That's a Avodah Zarah, according to this man. According to some Maamar Chassidus, if someone believes that they have no control, they can't decide who gets here and who gets not. They could withhold from being here. It's b'chirasam whether they're going to carry out the tzivui. So that's called shituf. They don't have the authority to decide how much hashpah should be given this, how much hashpah should be given that. The hashpah comes from the Eibush. Or therefore, like by the wine with the waiter can't give, as the wine is not his. The wine that he got, if he wants, he can hold it back, or he's going to give it. But the wine is not his. According to this, so they have no real control. The ashpah has no yachas to them. They can only withhold things. They're very limited period. So that's not Avodah Zarah. That's shidduch. L'Payir said that the Eibush runs the world b'siyua as someone else. That's shidduch. So the Rebbe is not that chiddush. Gemara Ashtei that even if they have Avodah Zarah, they're called Elokai. So in Pashat, the Gemara is speaking about Avodah Zarah, which they serve geshes. And after the King Zatan, the Gemara called that the Avodah Zarah called the Eibush called Elokai. But the Rebbe is saying here that also the shituf is also Nichal Elokai Elokai. Both they found. There's Shloime that says Shumas Elam Kernes is Rosh Hashem. Nichlogim is a Shnesim. We'll see the other types of something about it. Shigam Edu Shecheshim Sh'ozah Bay Sarz Dei Kachov Mazalas. The Sof Kol Sof Kernes is Rosh Hashem Elokai Elokai. Neisel is a Shiz Baruch Averne. B'Shabbat Alei. If you want to get cancelled, there's samples. In Igam B'Zem Gufa Shakum Elokai Hainu. The fact that Yeshlam Kerech Hainu Gisar is Lashpia, but well, Lim is at Atzma. Shegish Baruch Hashem Kerech. It's not that the Shemesh Mitzad Atzmai has the authority to be mashpia. The Eibush is Yigam Kerech. The Dugma Sari Am Melech Sheman Hik B'Samdina V'Reisham Melech Mina Yisamazah. The Mele then Mini Gufa is Nevea from the fact that the Eibush gave them Kerech. It's not standard that there's the reason why the Lokot Lakai, the Eibush is higher than them. That's the Pashta Pshat. One Pshat of Lokot Lakai is the Eibush is the greatest, and they're a lower degree of greatness. So the Rebbe said, even according to this beer and this mind, that a lower level or an 80 level of Avodah Zarah. Not that you think there's another Messias that has independent qualities but lower than the Eibush. You believe that whatever he has comes from the Eibush. That's also Nichlal. The Eibush is called Elokad Elokaya. It's much stronger in a certain way Elokad Elokaya because the fact that they're Elokaya stammt from them because the Eibush gave them they're Elokaya. The fact that they're having a tchun of Gedek is because the Eibush gave it to them. So that's Elokad Elokaya. Dugma Sari and Melech Sheman Hik B'Samdina V'Reisham Melech Mina Yisamazah. Was er Inzah. Le'ido Gam Atov Shashav Shesh B'Mei Kadosh Baruch Hu Adei Gechov Mazalos V'Bchirosam Nichla the Dakas Balokot Elokai Hashem Dakas. Even this considers saying it's the Dakas in Avodah Zarah. Because this etzem ki gam zeh shechem asas kirtzayin mu'inin shal shluta Elokai. It's the Dakas because they don't have real control. Let's say when they get to the waiter. He doesn't have real control. He could go against his job. He can go against his mission. His mission is just be a transmitter. He doesn't really have control. But the fact that he could be meneh dashpa, that also means that they have a certain level of power. And that's also the dak is considered alakai. This power, they weren't, this is not a power that they have. Their inyan is to be a transmitter. That's their inyan. They're not sheltered, according to this one. But the pearl, they have to work. And the fact that they could not work, even though we consider you a worker, but the pearl you could not work, that's considered a certain shlita in the dakas. The mela, shlita is a get with a trait. The mela you could also call shituf alakai. What's that from the Zagin? From Trachman, but this is what the Rebbe is saying. The Rebbe brings right away in order 23. Avachol, Sin al-Kod al-Lakai, Rak Lila Chesh, Azor Esar Esar Bekichov Mazaldis, Mashikin Atel Shem Al B'chilek, and Furish Bab saying order 20. So the Rebbe is saying a chiddush here. It's a chiddush. That even the second suk is also Nichel al-Kod al-Lakai. The fact that they can do whatever they want, that's in of Shlita. Shlila Sa'inin Delukim Achirim, Mitachlis, Udafka, the Yedish Kol, and saying, like you guys have had the Chetzi. What's this Negeh Zagin though? Why isn't it get this whole lumbus that even that the fact that they have chila is a get of shlita, and shlita is l'kim acherim metachlis is dafka through the idea that everything is that nothing has any. Why isn't it get for the Rebbe to bring in that even shituf is also it's not that there's a vidazara and there's a mitzvah of yichud. I mean, Pashto Chassidus is a vidazara is that there's no other get, there's no other divine power outside of the Abishter. Not only power, divine control power outside of the Abishter. And yichud is that the Abishter is one. What's one is he doesn't even have helpers. Here the Rebbe is saying shituf is if you're not shayl shituf, it's not only it's not you're not shayl kimachim is but kimachim means that there's no one else has any control. The only one that's the one which is everything is based on everything else's tools in his hand. To be sure that a tachlis dafka the idea that kol and say like gas in the chitz. What's this negate question?
Doesn't bring up the pickles more.
Why do you have to say? The Gemara uses the term of the saying two things. The Rebbe is saying here usually the shlila of this tos is a shlila not mitzad l'kimachim. Li'ilach l'kimachim, which is Avodah Zarah, guy is also Muslim. Then Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. What's that shayla? It's actually mitzvah chiyuv. What is that shayla? More than li'ilach l'kimachim is being shayla. Didn't have shituf. The Rebbe is saying more than that. If you believe in shituf, so to speak, you're missing. It's not the tachlis. Didn't have li'ilach l'kimachim. What does the Getzuli?
Yichud is not shayla any more than Avodah Zarah.
This is the darkness. I'm saying is yichud is for sure shayla more than Avodah Zarah. Avodah Zarah literally at halacha only is kailul the first house. Shituf is, but the Rebbe is saying here that even shituf is b'takas Avodah Zarah. And if someone was a gleit in shituf, is not leilach al-machir. Why is this negate? The Rebbe is saying that having b'chira, whether to give over the thing or not, is a certain level of power that you have. And giving any type of power, the fact that you can make a decision not to give, you can't decide who should get where, what, more, but the fact that you have the ability not to work and not to give is a certain power that you have. You have a certain role. A certain role equals shlita, equals alikim achir. Shlila, alikus is not only that it's looking on the Eibush, there's no other one that has the authority no one that has any power. If you lead it to something that has any power, it's not the shlila alikim achir b'takas. That's b'takas v'edazor.
So the end of the matter is that Giluim
Everything has amshos.
No. The end of the matter is that even Giluim wanted to use B'dakas or whatever. No?
Okay, that's the Rebbe saying the same. The Rebbe saying that the Torah is Neveah from that. What was that? Then the Rebbe adds another word. So according to Tona, the Rebbe explained two levels of the Tos of the Umasayla. One level of the Tos is that Schola was that the Nivroim had Bchira, the Shemesh V'Reich had Bchira. The second thing was not only they have Bchira, they're the ones in control of how much, what, the whole Hanhag Yisrael is telling them. Not only that the Eibush is the one fearing, but since it's through them, they could withhold Ashba. It's more than that. They have authority. So now the Rebbe leads us out. לפי זה, יאהב שלו בער פיקחוסי שזה שאמרנו נעשו מלכה, והנמשל, זה שישראל יהיה מסיימס. נתח נמשל. נמשל, זה שישראל יהיה מסיימס, שכל הממוצעים שהיום בהשפעה, אם להגיד גז מלך העצב, ובאנן, שתם סתבין ובמונה. זה עניין of גדול הדס. שאמרי מספנימיס. About das haste that he doesn't get, there's the mitzias the way it appears to be the chitzenis. What does he say? What's the title of Pikach? One of the say musik of Pikach. A regular person sees the mitzias the way it appears to be. I see something and you evaluate according to the way what your eye sees, or what's the way the mitzias appears to be the chitzenis. About das means that he sees the depth of the image, and he doesn't get the spell from the tzir chitzeni of the image. He sees the Elikayim. That's a regular person, say a regular average person means regularly you see the mitzvahs, you define or you convey things based on the way you see things. There's someone that understands deeply what the Eibishter is. And the fact that the Chitzeni is doesn't change the Akonabur that he has in the previous. And the Melikayim, he knows that the Eibishter ain't saved, and the Eibishter is not defined by anything. What's Seppes, we'll have to see what the beard is. Why get like that to shell these those? But I'm saying, what's the word of the Pikach? Pikach is, he sees a deeper layer than the average people see. We say the regular Muslim having Gedel Adas. A man said, Pikach said he sees the previous. And he doesn't get deterred by the Chitzenis. Now, what's up to talk about the previous? That's all. Maybe the Hebrew gave them Chirah, but the Hebrew decided he gave a little bit of his control to the but the Rebbe sagt an anderer Wort. Interessante Sache. Es geht an Ashtei, שאמרי מספנימיס. שאני בחיצייניס זה שהשפוע יד הכחוד מזול, וסופני שיש בו מאיר, שירים מצד זה יגולים בלי סביב מצרים. זה שישראל ידים של הגרז מיד החסם, זה כן לדעה שלנו. מה הרבי יאמר כאן? מה זה רבי סייר? בחיצייניס וייסחייס, בחיצייניס וייסחייס זה יהוד מחיר. בחיצייניס וייסחייס זה the fact that they're ממוצעים. Why is it Shemashpia Chayis through the Shemesh V'Yareach? Because they have a mile over the Nivroim at Ashtei. And therefore they're right. That's the mistake. B'chitzenis, it seems like why is the Eivish Shemashpia Chayis through Tzvah Shemayim, through Malachim and through Tzvah Shemayim, the sun and the moon? Because the Rambam is saying they're attacking Nivroim Mulimis. They are higher degree Nivroim. Zogan Amayim. And the Rambam says the Bali Seichel, the Haskell, the Chaymer is more Eidol. So, B'chitzenis, the fact that they are the Mutzoyim is inside their Nile. Someone comes into a place and he sees the Pashter mentioned, that is Grace mentioned, and the Ashpa of the Melech goes through these big people. Why? Because they're greater than them. But what does it do with the Rebbe spoke before? Who fought the line the fact that they're greater, the B'chir and not B'chir? This is what's in B'chitzenis. They say that B'chitzenis, that there's B'chir, so it sounds like that it's not the Yisayt for the Torah of B'chir stammt von der Torah. Stammt is good. How do you know he has B'chir? The Eivish is not Shpia. The Eivish created the waiter in order for him to transfer the food to the people. Why would you think that the waiter has B'chir to block it? But in Ephraim, so the person the owner is not going to bring the wine himself, so he needs to have a waiter, and the waiter has B'chir. You can have a robot soon, but the waiter has B'chir. Can up. Mashiach in the Nimshal, the Eivish created, according to the first day, the Eivish created Shemesh V'Yareach to be the one that transferred, not the second thought that they're not in to transfer the Indian. So why should we think that the B'chir could be Menei the Indian? So it doesn't say the B'chitzeni is neder that they have B'chir. So B'chitzeni is Vayis that the reason why the Eivish chose people is because they have a Mile. And Mashmos is that equals that they have B'chir. You just have some shot. Huh?
That's how you explain the Sefer Dach in the back.
That's what he explains?
Yeah, yeah.
You sure?
I think that's how we understood.
That's
how we understood the Sefer Dach in the back.
Huh? As I said?
Yeah, in his.
Is it printed here?
In page what was it? Page 112 in his Gilui Tar 92.
הנה זה מתחיל, אנחנו יכולים שנייה לשם. זה זה פונים, אבל אני שמעת שאני Seder Dach. It says a little different. But I remember where I heard this from, that you say, that you say that you what's the you say? You say you want a certain person, this person is a good artist. So it also says, why are you using him to be Messiah, the tzir? Because he's to write, to make this tzir, because he's a good artist. So if you're going to force his hand to be Messiah, he has to be interested. If you want them, it's at their quality, then you need their involvement. Ep says it, but it's not such a good beer that the Amish created them. I'm saying the Shad is Bechira is not a given. If you have Seichel, it means you have Bechira. The Amish created them with qualities, and they were created in a way that they're programmed to do why would they think mitzad the mile of the Shemesh V'Yerech? But the mile is saying according to the Sfar of Umas Ha'elam, so people have Seichel. The Shemesh V'Yerech are even higher. Haben sie avad the Seichel. But really, you need their involvement. You need their mitzvahs. Oh, I like that say the word. So that's attached. They say that Torah says, why would you think of that Bechira? Because the fact that we should use them as a mamutz is because you need their miles. You need their mile. Part of the mile is they're higher than people. Part of the mile is that they have seichel v'das. So in Mela, if you're going to force them to stuff, they can't see you need to have their involvement. It feels like Kaplan, you know? He says a little different. It's not the same. She says it in a more. He says it in a different way a little bit. Let's see what he says. It's another word. We could learn what he says the Zeich Mishmas.
112, is it?
Huh?
Page 112, yeah.
Was up there? But him says that Shloime here, I didn't say that my loss. Zwischen Gaum was gemacht. Was again? He means a Klevish Mischashim. He's saying a different word.
And the only, he says if it's Messiahs, then basically.
Yeah, if the fact that the Avish is using them is because they're Maila, so then the Maila that's power. He's saying a different word a little bit. What he's saying is Adar, he's saying that they get to the Nefesh and the Yivar. So a person's able to see. No one's going to say that the eye, the Aver of the ayin has the ability to see. Stammt schon for the Psar ha'ayin. Or the fact that the person has the ability to understand comes from the Psar ha'mayah. The Nefesh has an ability to see. Keichani is a Keichani which comes from the Nefesh. The Payal, in order to see the Ragashmi, it has to go through the Levush of a physical eye. You get a Keli Gashmi, which, however way it works, transforms the Keichani or Ruchni to be able to see the Ragashmi. So why the Payal, why after the Ayin and not a Psatish? Because the Ayin is a Keli to the Keichani. Shaking a physical table is not going to be. So for what after Keichani on to the Ayin? There's a certain chisar that the Keichani has. And not chisar, the Keichani is a Keich Ruchni. In order for it to see a davar gashmi, it needs to have a mitzvah. So it has to have a mitzvah which has the ability to be a keli for it. And so now the pearl that Tavat Varim is, if the clear ayin is makul, it's going to block. Even if the keich hariyah, it's a full, complete keich hariyah. But the pearl, in order for it to see davar gashmi, it needs also the traits of the physical ayin. If the ayin is going to be broken, but that's a shkin. Hagan, no one's saying that the ashpa comes from the ayin. Or that the ayin has the ability to make the nefesh choose. You're not going to say that whether I'm going to look or not, everything comes from the keich hariyah. It's not like the second toss that that everything comes from the psar ayin, not from the nefesh. Everything comes from the nefesh. The fact that you have to see is because the person decides to see. But the point, in order to see the ragashmi, you need to have the ayin because there's a certain quality the ayin has that the nefesh doesn't contain. What's the quality that it's able to transfer the keich hariyah to the ragashmi? Once you need it for a quality that it has, so if the quality is better, it's going to work better. So the ashpa is very dependent. Once the ashpa is dependent, that's the same mohos as saying that needs bechira. Means it plays a certain role in the ashpa. Not in the sense of giving the ashpa, but not in the sense of the guf ashpa, but in the sense of transferring it. So in Svar, it's not so far to say they have bechira also. They can block the ashpa. It's an etzem fact they have a mitzvah that they're a mile. They can block the ashpa. What he's saying is that the musik of Maila and the musik of Bechira is the same idea. That's what he's saying. He says, why is the Rebbe Menasechel in this Eifin? Because there's Bechira, that's a technicality of Bechira. We don't see what it's saying is that Bechira. But the same concept of Bechira is, Bechira means they have a say. The Ayin has a say in the Ashba. The Ayin has no choice, but he has a say. So the Gabi, those Nevroim B'Shab B'chira, the more hamchoshedik way of saying they have a say is they have B'chira. But it's the same as what's saying that they have a Mayla.
Also on the bottom, he says what you were saying before.
You'll be masked in the beer, but this beer that I heard also heard from not from, but I'm saying from Siddha as I'm on the It's not this.
The middle of it.
Huh?
The middle of it. You'd be over there. No, I'm saying in the Bill's reference.
Yeah, that's the fire. Why the good doesn't understand it. That's for sure. That's a beer. That's a pshat. I don't know if I'm saying that's a pshat. But the question is, how does Maila connect to Bchira? So he's saying that it's not two different inyanim which one brings to the other.
What's the same
like
thing?
the beer that before. It's the same concept. The concept is that they have to say. Whether say they have to say it, therefore they could choose to stop it, or they have to say it because we need them. It's the same almost, same meaning. I think it would be right this that when you get the Kechari is going through the eye can stop the Ashba. Not because it has Bchira. If there's a kilkul in the Psara eye, but it's a shgame. But it's the same in the Kodesh Bchira. The pal, you need this. You need a memutze. You need a memutze. You have to. The good thing is chashel memutze. Punkt shemesh has das, so we're using bchir. The word is not bchir. That's what you're saying. So you have people that are because they want to zalzem beser, they're going to forget about the nefesh, or they're also going to deal with the eye. That's going to be eizgal. You're also dealing with your psar eye. It also plays a role. And that's the way it looks for chitzenis. For chitzenis, it looks like if someone's going to say, does the nefesh need the eye in order to see? Avad does it. And you can be able to explain it. The chitzenis kumtes dieselbe Sache that comes from Allah and from Shloime that comes to the heavens. We need to have, in order for it to be light in the world, physical light, it has to go through a zahich and nibur with like the sun, which that's transferred to Ashwad in order to come to Gashmas. So what's the Yidden's Geil Ladas? The Geil Ladas is the Eivish Ladas Shalom comes to Kengish. The Eivish is ain't safe. Doesn't need anybody anything. He decided to be mashpia in a way in this life. Doesn't need. There's no need. And why is it about there's no intrinsic quality in the sun. He created the system in a way that the way it appears to be is that Ashpa comes in a Seder of Eres V'Kelim or Trum Mutzayim. In the world, Ashpa goes like that. The Eivish alone is mashpia such a but not because he's limited that he has to have in the Sefer. Kach Olam Etzeni for the certain mile that Ashpa should be in such a tzir. Which the Rebbe is not discussing this time, or what the previous of the Olam Etzeni should be in such a saying it's not because the Eivish is forced in such a Sefer. You have the Mashal Nefesh, Kenzin Bar Gashmi Mech. He decided that the fact that he's able to see Bar Gashmi should go through a tzir of an Ayin Gashmi. And the Ayin should be the whole system. It's nothing to do with the Ayin. It's his Yecheres to be able to see the Gashmis. B'chitzenish kommt das nicht das. Okay. So this possession. So that's two things. First of all, Yidden see. They see the depth of a Lukus, not the way Lukus looks like the way the Lukus programmed the universe. And not only they see the depth, and they're not deterred by the Chitzenis. They understand that the Eivish is nicht mobile, they gewollt das. More beautiful, that's the good.
The first way of explaining of Mile and the Pidal, is that also Nikolonel Kalokar? The pickles that they don't even have a mile, that's also would be part of the Kalokar?
When you the first beer. The first beer that
it's first explain that they have a mile.
You can say that it's a lower dark. You're saying according to that beer, it's a shtash. I'm saying could be red, and that you're saying a siyua to the beer's pshat. Yeah, it was said it. Huh?
You made us coming for a second.
No, I'm not saying. Even I'm saying. You must comment. I feel versteht das, as jeder versteht. Not that the Chibur needs to have that comment. So Bayach kam Shloime feel when I even they understood it. Nicht das nicht gedacht. Oh, but the shaila is this is very nice. But so if I say what's the mashal? The Medrash brings a mashal. If this is the pichus of the Nibsh, if the pichus, the reason why the Medrash says this whole we don't understand yet. Malcolm Schal, the Rebbe just mavar. Why do you have to be clever to search the Mavar? Bechitzenius, I never say the first thing is the Metzias, the way it appears to be Bechitzenius, is more on the side of Umasayim. You have to be able to see deeper in Metzias in order to believe in what he means. Every Shlava, it's important to know. It's not every man is like that, but it's not like they're ever saying Havim. Basically, they say when you're facing a pulpul, so bring the Havim in, and then we're Deichit, then we start another beer. Each beer, these are truths. I'm saying each Indian is a. The Rebbe was made darga. The boss would have uncommon to special in Yonim in order to believe what he believes. See, the point. This is also an Indian for itself. Someone says the Metzias Beis Bechitzenius is nice and welcome with this. The Eibush created the world in a way that Bechitzenius, it seems like the Elokus works through certain systems. But if you're going to go with the Chitzenius, come and atasa, come and give weiter Recht. That's the first thing. A Yid sees a deeper layer in the Metzias. And he's not a spot from the Nafron coming to that. But the Shaila is the Mashal is the Mashal of it. מזה שהמטר שני ומשל הזה מלך ודוחסן אף שבא משל דוחסן מבעל הבחיר שלכם מסתבר זה here says שהבחינה בעד דוחסן נעשה דוחסן יחיד על דיגרים שהשפיע יעשה לאלה שבחר בהם ותולי כבא נמשל שהביד על הקום אינית מלך סחל מאחר שאינה בעד הבחיר in the Mashal the Christ in the Mashal the one that shows the דוחסן ever since the דוחסן taka הבחיר so I was saying already another Indian that they didn't speak about before. You say a melech comes to town with Sar and Dursen and a Statilutin, so the melech is greater. What's going to get? The melech is greater. The person wants to get more ashpot. So the melech, he's the greatest leader of the city. You say that someone wants to be able to, he has a backyard and he has his daladamas and he wants his Messiah should be his after. He needs a king. You're going to be in touch with the president, the greatest president. So maybe he's going to help you with your the garbage you go another day a week. It's not going to help for that. For that, you have to be close to the manager of the sanitation. It's not to get the place. So in the mashal tak, if someone wants to have more ashpa, it makes sense to choose the dos and the statulut. Mashiach and the nimshal nicht does it. They're garnished. So the beer that Rebbe spoke now, it's Rebbe's not saying that it's not a pichus. Zukommen zu dem. It's not a pichus. But that's not nicht in dem besteht the uftu and the reason why the mile of it. Nicht in dem nekuda. Because that's why the Medrash brings a mashal. The mashal is to bring out that the mile of it is not that he understands the Metzias right. That he's searching for something. The beer told us the mile of a yid. You can have a yid and a beer both searching for the same thing. We're both searching for ashpa, to live a good life. Sachako Agay makes a mistake in sale. A guy made that in order to have a good life, you have to be in touch with the Sar and the Dursen, with the Shamash there. And a Yid knows the truth. You want to live a good life, you have to go to the Eibshter, they're all happy about. But Yamut Kumta is, if das what's called Yamut, what's the Meile? Is that a best cup? If you want to use those words. The Rebbe wants to be, the reason why the Medrash brings the Mashal is to tell you that the reason, the Meile of a Yid over a guy, is not a question, not that they're both looking for the same thing. The guy just makes a mistake, wrong calculations, where are you going to get the good thing? The Chatchila, their shtel is different. What they're looking in life is different. Their focus is different. That's why it brings the mashal of the Sar and the Duchs. By the Sar and the Duchs, if you're going to choose the Duchs and the Sar, your life's going to be better. You'll be good friends with the king. So what? It's going to shtel. Unless you want to be second to the king. But I'm saying a regular person, what does he need to be the king for? What does he need the king for? He needs the to take fight off a ticket that he got. So he has to be busy with playing dimension there. So there in the mashal, the chilik is what you're looking for. That's what the Rebbe starts going on. What I'm trying to say is we're not saying what we said before. It's ein mile was a yidhot as a rod seichel was a gehadish. Means he sees pnimis. That's a mile. But nicht in dem besteht the core mile of what a yid is. The Medrash says that Ashtei Yom Shekol Halei. The Medrash come to say Chalkei Vayar Nafsh the mile of a yid. Nicht in dem besteht the mile of a yid. As versteht das. The mile of a yid is not different. The Rebbe is going to connect all this, but first we're starting to build in such a way. Nicht in dem besteht the mile of a yid. That's what we're saying. So in the mashal, in the mashal, the stabber leber shabchir about dochsin. You can't only come shesh b'yeh shel shbachir. To like about nimshel shabchir alakum in el islam action about the So from them versteht man move on. There is a boy in the back to the mashal. Shezeh shab pikach or another samalka. Why is another samalka? What the mention? Reshavedas hamelech yichshu be'etzle yesim at the el shiyil Asar. He's not thinking about the benefit that he could have. Serving the king, he should worship someone that's right to worship, and them as a menegeh. Then he should have one ashpa. We're going to see later on. I'm just saying some. It says this is a free Maamar. If you look it up, I think it says Maamar. I don't remember. The feeling that it says that, or the it says that about Mordechai that lekom v'lizamimen. He didn't stand up and he didn't shiver. So if you look at it, kimo means hidur, kovet, and za means afraid. From power, you're afraid. And kovet, hadar, kom, kimo, hidur, you give to someone that. So Mordechai, these two Shiurim show his Shloime also and his honesty, his ehrlichkeit. I don't think it was lashon, but the fact that he wasn't mechabed him. It didn't hold him that he's a big guy. But the guy has money, mit dem Mann hebt mechabed sein. If not gehad der paar dollar, wat nicht mechabed sein. Was mit dem Mann ist denn mechabed? But the point when people, so Mordechai was straightforward, honest. I asked all the power, he's the big mach. He wasn't mechabed. That shows on his ordentlichkeit. And so, Shemaim, whatever, he wasn't afraid. He had power, so that he wasn't afraid. But Kovetz, so I'm saying, why am I saying this? That I'm saying is that the Pikach, the way they're saying it here, he could get to Elis from the Sar, he could get to Elis. But I'm not going to go, but he's not going to be false. The text is deeper now. I'm just saying that he's not going to go worship someone and be misbatal to someone that doesn't, the emes deserve to be served. He's not going to do a tnuah which is not emes in order for him to get benefit. He can get benefit from so what's the problem? When it's a melech chshuv, the other type is much more. That sucht nicht sein Meiler, sucht didn't to serve the king. But there's a word here also that he's not going to go serve someone which is not emes. You're serving him not because you really believe that this person deserves to be he has no mind of that. In order to get ashpa, you're serving. So the marshal, the pikach, he doesn't play chamferai. He's not going to.
Pikach doesn't mean smart, it means someone with dignity.
Yeah, there are much deeper. I'm just saying,
I'm saying as of now, that's.
Yeah, that doesn't patch up. To serve the melech, you get touch it. There's honesty or he has truer values. Mashiach, the doesn't care about values. So whatever's going to work for him is going to do. Whatever you need to do. But there are touches as after Tishman. Mizem moving on by name shol the ikar atam as the shumazel yet in chamul one. Yisrael they didn't need to know that the Shiur or lem the shumazel not because it does. That's not the you say. Lem the shumazel will tell you that come about the khir Yisrael yedem seven shivak guys and the chizan is making a mistake in cheshbon. Elo the shal is what are you looking for? What's your main goal in life? The shumazel the ikar that's mushik habu ashpa. It's Yisrael ha ikar ulavet samar. What the Rebbe comes to explain right away, the Rebbe is going to get to. From what Shtam does, but the Rebbe is first going to explain, B'chol is nicht das. B'chol the nimshal, you cannot get ashpa from the Elikani. In the Mashal says, where do you see them in the nimshal? The fact that he is serving the Eibishter is because Emizmer Negeya Haben Ashaychas with the Emes, then having a good life. Where do you see that? But the Eibishter, the good life is from him too. So that is going to continue to explain that it's not so simple. To live a good life, klippis are a better resource. The mele is mechuva, the mashal of the nimshal. But before then, what's the Kufa the Rambam says? The Rambam steht l'chora in Pashtos. They say that Tos began mitzad the way they understood reality. Birchzeni is the reality biased. The Rebbe said before. Birchzeni is biased that the world is ran through Mitzrayim. So I'm not sure, they weren't looking for themselves. They were looking for the truth. And they came to recognition that there's someone else to thank besides for the English. They have to thank also the Yishem Shireh. Those are the Neves Nishtaz. That's not the Yisrael. The fact that Israel make the mistake, it led to Israel in Tevachation that Ba'ad B'chira and didn't know the truth. But the Israel had Iker Esna Moshe Kabel Ashpa. Basically, Israel the Iker Ulav and Sanal. Why are they going to think that way? There's an Eibusha created the world, you're serving Matzah. What's making you think? The shade, there's a shadish of a Torah doesn't begin because in dry seichel they came to the Maskana that we have to give a Karas Atayv to the Shamshir. It began because they weren't happy. We're not, you say, why is someone trying to find chesronos in something? Because you don't want the thing the way it is. So, the pile, you start denying it. Why are you starting to deny it? Because you're missing it, because you're not interested in it. The reason why they were looking at the Eibush is not the full balabas. Why you should, not because of Seichel, they objectively came to the conclusion the Eibush is not the full balabas. Shamshir or also because Tzadzik bothered. They were looking for some other resource. The Eibush wasn't. They didn't want him in Kaplan because they weren't interested. They want to live a good life, and to live a good life, the truth bothers. But that's the premise of where it came from that they started making cheshbonos. So it's nicht angeben for reiner Verstand. That's what it brings here from Arda 26. Yeah. It says Lahar in the Sefer Mount Havish Bevav. Shemitaber Shemidin as Chak was basic. Sheduk Masamishtak will be Chavim Mazolis. Someone that is mischak in basic. See, we never says it. Someone that bows down to Chavim Mazolis, and someone that sleeps on Kaparayin and he thinks that bullies of how to make money. So he's bowing his head to the Chuketa. He believes, why is he being mischak and defined as? Because he believes that through having a good business, he's able to get ashpa. So who gives the Chuketa giving the ashpa? It's not a regular Muslim Adar. There's no entity. It's not that you're serving a certain creature. It's a system. I'm saying but in Mahos, it's the same concept of Adar. Someone that's, I'm saying, two reasons why people, it's not like they have an opinion. The Pile, whatever the beard is, but besides that, it's not Mamshek Azar Kalach, it's not like there's some mitzvahs of a nivra of an asik that you're worshipping. So there's other in you think that there's a certain, they created a system, and whoever has better ideas and better shpitzlach, that's going to bring more ashpa. That's the same concept of the Zara. And you're, so the figure said, being mischakim, and I'm talking to bullets, you're lowering your head to appease the chukya teva, the business, that's a dumas, I'm a shtachla to come myself. Das redet uns Hemsch in Sham, kol mach shveisen und nakte besatz. Kolim el gufi hem im rush. The mizem mach shlele kam shol nege sibas abernas. Why? The fact that he wants money. The traffic is zich. The gam ha machshav nakte besatz und nege gekommen bazos. That's a bit so. The figure is coming to be with Dan, Yidos liegt in Eis, Tavi the Zor. Says, a mensch ist in Eis, Tachtel is sicher. And every the Zor Tachtel is sicher, before Tachtel is sicher, tracht very the necessary the mashpia. He's not thinking about the true mashpia. So that first,
why is this a lower? Why is this a higher tifin in the pickles? They're deciding not to be a pickle over here. It's lower.
So what is a person looking? That's not a question. According to before, two people looking for the same values of life. What's the purpose of life? They're saying till now, to live a good life, like Kabbalah Shpur, to live and to enjoy and also thank God. So then, the shaila is, why is the Yitzhak the Eibishter? Because he's the source of life. So there's no chilik mohosik for Yid and a God. But Seichel doesn't mean that he understands things better. That's not a true mind of Pigach. True mind of Pigach is that his values of life are not based on a Shiurim. There isn't that job. We're going to go back to Pichos. But the mind of Seichel is not just that you understand the better cheshbon. You know better. That's a chitzed is the kamayim. The guy with the Rebbe's speak damage. The mahus is different. What they're searching for is different. What they're miyakir is different. What's precious by them is different. It's going to be before, but both the same people. Both are looking for the same thing. Chayim, Solem, and Tzavim. The guy makes a technical cheshbon. Pashit is misunderstanding, misreading the mitzvahs. That's not an essential gam. Misreading the mitzvahs. That's not a chilik of Moses. The Rebbe is saying the reason why the management of the Mashal said tell you that the difference in a Yid and a guy is a difference in what they consider important. And what their focus in life is. What's the The Pika had nicht gesucht to have a comfortable life. He wanted to have a shachas to the truth. He wants to serve the Melech have a shachas to them. I see that in custom. Life is not going to be easy. It's not neged, but his life. It's neged to him to be connected to them. Whatever the emes is going to cost. That's not what he's thinking about. What's it going to cost him? He's looking for the truth. Because it's neged himself, the he's trying to find ways to deny the Eibush. Rebbe is going to explain that he has good svaras why to deny the Eibush. Es taki cost in order to be in. Es ist nicht gegen die gesagt. But du bist like in the marshal nicht gegen die gesagt.
Caring for the truth is a Mailan Seichel or Mailan Midas?
We're gonna see, but it's not a matter of midas. Midas is just what seichel. I'm saying midas doesn't decide for you what's good, what's not. It's a very important point. But midas is not the thing that is the factor which is kaveh what's good, what's not good. Seichel is the one that tells you what's good. The emotion towards it, that's midas. Midas is not the one that introduced to you. This is the thing that's worth loving. That's not what midas is. A type is not this. I feel a type without it. But first your mind finds out that this thing is a good thing, and then you like it. Your heart is not the one that tells you that it's good. Words.
So this is the clue that a person should be selfish and self-serving.
The awareness that, no, it's not a claim. The Rebbe is not speaking about mitzvah Kabbalah sale. You shouldn't be self-service. Person comes to the recognition that the purpose of life is not for my enjoyment. The purpose of life is, it's more precious, it's more important to connect to the truth, and the importance is not to have a good life. Where does that come from? That's a true, because he's not stuck within himself. You're going into how to start with seichel versus midas. We'll see that. What I'm saying is, you're saying what's to do seichel midas. Someone that tachveis alakus is meir by him somehow. The Rebbe is saying no. The Rebbe is saying here is a human being is someone that doesn't decide his life according to what feels good for him. He decides his life based on what his seichel comes to the conclusion what the truth is, without the involvement of himself. Get the Rebbe to solve that.
That's the pickles.
Pickles, seichel. Get the Rebbe to explain it. The whole Maamar is an important point. The Rebbe Maamar is not speaking about the whole Maamar. The Rebbe is speaking the Maamar. The Rebbe connects to the Neshama, but it's about that the Yid is a pikach. Means that his life is not mevusas on midas or on hergesh atzmei. It's mevusas on what the emes is, and that's the midas in of what seichel. The seichel is a person's ability to understand what the truth is, what the objective truth is, not what suits for me. What's the keich haseichel? Not there's one. We see the chazenish keich haseichel is the afresh and populim. That's not the muchos. There's two attitudes towards living or towards mitzvahs. One attitude is there's me. Whatever works for me, I'm going to go with it. That's mitzvahs. You don't evaluate the quality of the thing objectively. It's what type of impression does this thing make on me? It's scary for me. It's not scary for me. So midas is all a person's relation to something, the way the thing relates to him. Seichel is the ability of a person to vergessen the Gesicht and to reinklären, was ist der Emes? What's the truth? You're saying technically you want to learn a sugya, what's the true pshat in the sugya? And more in a broader eifin, what's truly important? Not to be made what's important according to what's going to suit me. What's objectively important? What's objectively important? That's the true of seichel. If you look at seichel as a broader toy fan of how to evaluating what's important in life. So, the fact that one person values himself and the other person with the value is not himself, the emes. They want to hear it because his values in life are based on seichel, based on an objective understanding what's the emes real, what's the emes true, not what suits me. That's the true of midas. I'm defining what's true and what's real according to what suits for me. Seichel is I'm defining what's true and what's real and what's precious according to what's objectively precious. The Rebbe shred for mitzvah with Neshama. The Rebbe says later the reason why a Yid his seichel could work. The Rebbe says later in the Maamar that a seichel and seichel anivra is a meshulach. Even though seichel in Yoni is to investigate and to get to the bottom of what the truth is. And he's looking for what's important. The person's deciding what should I dedicate my life to? What should be important? So if it's based on midas, what's important is what's going to suit me. If it's seichel, I'm going to think what's objectively important. The Rebbe says that seichel and nushim is a meshulach. At the end of the day, seichel is a kech for the sake of the person. So seichel, even though in Yoni seichel is to understand the reality the way it is, you're not going to understand the reality the way it is with hostility to you. That's the Rebbe says later. And I hear that Rebbe says it, because he has Neshama. That's the Rebbe says later. You know this. I go ahead to Shloime says, I'll go. A regular Emes is seichel be'etzem is a koyach in order to get to the bottom of what the truth is, whether it suits me or not. But l'payel, a person which is a mitzias, at the end of the day, that bases himself all the keiches that you have are all the extension of your mitzvahs. You have keiches seichel in order to improve your life. So your seichel is always it's never gonna be fully objective when it comes to trying to figure out what's the real purpose of life. It's not going to be mechayiv something that's not going to be good for you. Because it's different. A yid is another zach, not a shemitzis. A yid can live in the nose. Not the can live inside the neshama. A yid mitzad v'skei haseichel can live into the nose. Yes, finish this question. We're saying a little bit weiter what's going on. So we should skip this thing and say we're already speaking about it. Okay, we'll make this up. Bayom, who would eager that the Kaplan was also about Rushim. Seder was explaining in a way, as I think is up. They was explaining here that they wanted to be Kaplan Chai. What do we say? They say there's not made a mistake in Chai. Because he wanted life. He wanted life. About Shiur, the Eibishter is the only source of life. Everything's right in the Chai. If you say there's made a mistake in Chai, but others say they didn't make a mistake in Chai. So if they said they wanted life, but one didn't make a mistake. Then so there was nicht das. Ich hatte was schon gekommen, man soll das nur bei Drushim, because with the Kaplan Shloime and Christus is a bit. Verliest der Rotzel Vater was hat noch begin auch gekommen so. Wisst ihr? Das ist nicht passiert. With the Kaplan Shloime in circle bit. You see that brings later Adar like having the muscle. You say another beer, if you be connected to a lower rank, so you don't have to be so sensitive every word that you say, you don't have to, you can be more free, more English. Someone that wants to shachar to the melech, you want to relate to the king, it's not so much. Every movement is a risk. So Adar said, yeah, some shachar still because you have that bittul, there's time, you have to be a keli for the because okay, is it? Mashenkin, Gechav Mazalis is the inside of the bittul. For this is the Gechav Mazalis is down to the big of the Tanya. Nechol Mitzrayim Chinam. Show them, say Chinam. Einzach. Nachher sagt der Rebbe, the 8 times the Shos the Kaplan Shloime and Gechav Mazalis. Besides the fact that that's what you get, by Kedusha there's a Tanai that you have to be worthy of it. You have to earn it. Ashtei in Klippe, you don't have to earn anything. Chinam, Nachazach, Hashpa Atzma Higdelius. Nach the ganze Bittel, Hashpa doesn't work so much.
Is this to be master the Chajman of the Muslim?
Yes. The Rebbe is saying that the saying is not because they made a mistake in Chajman.
Yeah.
Because they're looking for themselves. They're looking for themselves. The Eibishter is the Makar. The Eibishter is very difficult to deal with. Maamar and Kabbalah Ashwa from the Lakus, you have to be bottled. And it's Nimshach, very measured. Mashik and Umas Ha'elam, they don't have to be bottled. And the Ashpa is Nimshach in a way of legal. It's not Sachen, again, of it, the put. It says, Kigam Ashpa, ask me Dilis, you can't just Rachel and Mago Shaman and Yishlashmas. Ashpa, Misham, the Rebbe gives a beer why. What's the yichus of Seder Dach that it's not shpia blikvol? The Eivish is blikvol. But this is already the deeper area that's in board of Chassidus, from the Shmeidas on Azifol, was in board of Chassidus, from Vanan Take Kriegen Umasel Hashpa. So the difference between is a Rab, the Ulam Shefel, the Talmidei, or a Hashpa, Pnimis, when you're giving someone because the other person is, because you want him to have. So then it's according to how much is worthy of it, how much is right, whether he's worthy, so it's going to be with something. The Shemesh is not shpia, Erba Kolik. Why is it? Because he feels that this place is worthy of having light. The Shemesh is not thinking about the Makabah. The Shemesh is bleakful. He's mispashed. He's not thinking about the Makabah. The Ashpat, from one stammt, they're speaking not the numbers with Nutzai and Cheshbenis. From one stammt is that Klippus and Yeshes have chayes. Because the Eivish is bleakful. And Mitzad is bleakful, he's mashpiyah, not because the Makabah is worthy of chayes. They get their source, they're reading from a different Nekudah. Not because they are Kalim to chayes. They're not Kalim to chayes. Chayes Telakus. They're not Kalim Telakus. From Vanak Krieg is 11, from a different kind. The Eivish is big full, so his mispashed the Chomakim. He doesn't need Kalim. Something that has an energy without Hagbalis does not need Kalim in order to be Nimshah. That's the marker where Seder Dach get the Ashpa. Ashpa Misham Mishalei Abeshem. And Ashpa Ibri Bigod. So the Nekudah is one Nekudah. Elukus, Chayes is Adam Deik Mashal Nekeim Chaim Kol Chomayim. Elukus is Chaim. The eighth Ashpa from Tikdusha is in a way that the Nekabel is a Keli to the Chayes. And he suits the Chayes. So then you bittul, you have to be behesed to the Chayes. And then you get according to Hamashir Keli. Mashengi, the Klippis are not Keli. So Vana comes 11. Because Al Derech, the Shemesh is Mashpia Eri. Because what do you say that Ashpa? That the Mashpia steht in Eis Pashtos, the male is Nimshal B'chol Mokim. So Al Derech says the Mokim Ashpa from Chinas Kesef, from Chinas Mokim. All words, the Eibishter's Gevalt, should be a Zas Tzart Ashpa, which shouldn't be defined and it shouldn't be focused on that they're the Mekalim are right for this Ashpa. The Ashpa isn't said his people. So that's where they're Mekabel Ashpa. They're Mekabel Ashpa, so Mele Ashpa, so it could be very deep. This is what I'm saying in the Yom HaMiti. I'm saying this is fact. So we then move on that huh?
It's not a bit Zara.
Huh?
It's not a bit Zara.
Nothing to do with Israel, no. Nothing to do with Israel. This is everything that from here is the Shtalsh. Kedusha is an issue. Why in a couple of Kedusha, you have to be a kid to tell us? So they don't want that. The main ones don't even track that the Etzel of the Eivish is not the only thing that's Mimutzayim. They're saying Al Pichsidis, a deeper meaning. Al Pichsidis, forget about Mimutzayim. There's a Ashpa to Klippus, to Yeshes, to Klippus, and there's a Ashpa to Kedusha. That comes from two different inyanim, so to speak, in Elokus. The Ashpa to Kedusha is because the Mekabel is worthy of the Ashpa. He's a Keli to the Ashpa. And therefore there's a Ashpa Pnimis. There's another type of Ashpa. His Mashpia to Mekabel, not because the Mekabel is worthy, because he's big vol. And maybe he's Mishpash to Kalmokim. Like the Shemesh, is the fact that there's light going to some corner and he's making light in a room that it's better not to see what's going on with it. The Shemesh is not thinking about that room. The Shemesh has light on Agbolas. And Mamela is Nimshal B'chol Mokim. It's misad his big vol, his expansions. From dort and kriegt Klippe. There's nothing to do with Mitzvah, that I'm saying. That's the Yisayid HaPnimi of Goy, why Goy did not want to be Makir, that the source of everything is Lukus.
I'm just trying to tell us something.
The Melons, they only, this is a beer or wine, they don't like Lukus. The Melon, they started finding that Stuckers, obviously, also. That's what they were saying before. The Pnimius is because they weren't happy serving the Eibishter. Right? What's wrong with serving the Eibishter? Because you have to be different. If you want to have Ashpa from the Lukus Begila, you have to be bottom. Guess that I mean, don't worry. To be the meaning. Okay, we'll jump to this part.